Yeah! Get up!
What is up, everybody? It is late here on Tuesday night. I just heard the news yesterday, but I haven't had a chance to make a reaction video, so I wanted to do that really quickly. If you haven't already heard, Harley-Davidson made a pretty big announcement by way of a video, and I don't know if they made this an ad that was available on TV, but where I saw it obviously was on YouTube, where I frequently am. And yeah, so Harley-Davidson made some pretty big announcements. There was also a lot of buzz on the internet as far as articles and things you could read. I went to Cycle World to find out a lot of the information that you couldn't just derive by watching the video. I'm sure that there's other sources that you can use. Harley-Davidson's website actually has a bunch of stuff up already that you can check out as far as reading material and finding out what's in store for the next few years. And what is in store is big. It's really big. And I actually just put out a video, out recently about Harley-Davidson's Freedom Promise. So if you haven't already watched that video, I'll put a link to it right here so you can go and check that out. But really, the Freedom Promise has been put to bed because there is a lot in store in the future in the next few years for Harley-Davidson, starting next year in 2019 with Harley-Davidson's Livewire electric motorcycle. Now this is something that they went out and actually demoed all over the world. They were doing demos rides for this bike. I was so bummed because I just missed the one that was in our area to take it out for a test ride. I have ridden electric bikes before and they are absolutely thrilling to ride. I actually have a video of that demo ride, so you can check that out because I'm sure I'll throw a link up here for you to see that. If you haven't actually tried an electric motorcycle, try it out. I know it's a trip because it doesn't make any noise and there's no vibration from the engine, but it is a thrill ride. It really is, and it's something that you've got to try for yourself. There's no clutch because there's no shifting. It's all throttle, and it's just a unique experience. So the fact that Harley-Davidson is bringing out an electric motorcycle is absolutely, it excites me. So that's kind of where I wanted to start, was because this bike is going to be released next year in 2019. Available to buy. Likely it's going to be way more expensive than any of the other electric bikes that you can buy because it's going to be a Harley-Davidson. But if I can, I will definitely get out there to ride one if it's possible. Hopefully they'll be out on the demo trucks so you can ride them that way. I would imagine they would have a demo just for the Livewire, kind of like they did when they went around with their demo tour and they were going all over with, you know, a handful of bikes and everyone could jump on one, and they take you out and there's, you know, like, I don't know, like 12 people on the Livewires zipping around for demo rides. So that's 2019. In the future years, we're looking at the Pan American, which is not the bike that you see here. We'll get to that. But the Pan American is an adventure bike that Harley-Davidson's going to release. To me, when I first saw it, I was like, it looks like a catfish. That was my first thought. And whatever. I'm not an adventure bike rider. I know that some people are digging it. It's a very unique design. Again, and I will say, when Harley released the Fat Bob, there was a lot of uproar about the way it looked, and it's really grown on people. And the Fat Bob, I would say, is one of the more popular models that's available now, including how that front headlight looks. And that's kind of what the front headlight looks like on the Pan American. A lot of people, I'm sure, will be excited about that. It has a 1250cc engine, and it looks like it's going to tear up the off-road. I don't know. I'm not an adventure bike rider, so I can't really speak to that. Another thing I can't speak to is the fact that they're going to put out smaller displacement engines to become more relevant in the international market, especially with all the uproar about Harley-Davidson shifting some of its production to outside of the United States. This was something that was kind of already happening because it costs less for the bikes to be made in Asia to be shipped to Europe. So all of the bikes, I believe, that you're going to be able to buy in the United States are still going to be made in America. That's something that Matt Laidlaw, I'll throw a link here to that video because Matt Laidlaw really puts all that to bed. I mean, there are things that are going on that are making it harder for Harley-Davidson to sell motorcycles in Europe, and the tariffs, whatever, all that's politics. I want to stay out of that. So anyway, Harley-Davidson is making a real effort to become more relevant in Asia, in India, and by making smaller displacement engines, which will in turn, I'm sure, be much more affordable. It's going to make them more relevant, and really they're going to start taking a bite out of a market that they haven't been in, which is where Honda really comes in, and Yamaha, and all these other companies that are that are more exclusive to the international market, where Harley-Davidson has not been in. So this is really I believe it's a really good effort for them to once again get them on the upswing, to take a bite out of a market that they haven't been in, and to bring in more riders. And really, they talk about in this article in Cycle World that by 2027, Harley-Davidson hopes to have over 2 million more riders worldwide. And it's something I think that's doable, especially when you look in the United States, all the people that are getting into motorcycle riding that have never ridden before. And it's an exciting time, especially when you think about the fact that Harley-Davidson is not only going to try to get more relevant internationally, they're going to try and become more relevant to more customers. This is where the Street Fighter comes in, and it's where the Custom is going to come in. Now the Custom is a bike other than the Street Fighter, because I've already been anxious to try out maybe riding a sport bike. The fact that Harley-Davidson is trying to take a bite out of that segment and become a player in this kind of motorcycle, like a naked Street Fighter. I mean, this bike it really gets me going. This bike, I mean, if you look at the tank, it reminds me of the 883R and the 1200R. The way that the pipes are situated too, the naked engine. I mean, we're looking at a whole new engine as well. This bike fulfills one of my wants out of Harley-Davidson, which was to have a bike that was more sporty. I wanted to like so badly the Street Rod and the Street Series motorcycles, but there was something about them. A lot of people say that they're cheap, or that they feel the fit and finish on the Street Series motorcycles really doesn't live up to Harley-Davidson standards. This bike looks like it's going to live up to Harley-Davidson standards. Now, this bike, as well as the Livewire, and what we're looking at is the Custom, which also, to me, the Custom looks like a mix between the 1200 883R and the Fat Bob. It just looks so good, and I'm so excited. A part of me wants to be a little bit leery about the fact that these are just concept motorcycles, basically, but the fact that the Livewire that they're going to release next year still looks so much like the Livewire that they put out for people to demo ride, that fact gives me hope that this bike that you're looking at right here is going to be the bike that's very similar to the bike that they're going to release. So really, these years can't go by fast enough. I'm so excited for the direction that Harley-Davidson's going in. You might watch this video and think, oh, that one guy is just a Harley homer. He'll buy whatever Harley sells. That is absolutely not true. I love Harley-Davidson motorcycles, but there are definitely bikes that Harley-Davidson makes that either I'm not interested or I think that they've struck out on in years past. And I think that, except for the Pan American, the adventure bike that they're coming out with, I am really excited about all the models that they're talking about. Even the smaller displacement motorcycles, which really aren't relevant to us. I'm sure that they'll be available in some ways to us in the United States, but I don't know if Harley-Davidson wants to make that part of their game plan domestically. To sum this up, what I think is happening here with Harley-Davidson, it reminds me a lot of what Nike did back in the late 90s to the early 2000s. Nike was, right, they were just a spectacular shoe company that made great shoes. They made some sporting goods. You know, that was about it. They made shoes and they made clothing, and that's where it ended. But in the early 2000s and the late 90s, Nike decided that they were going to start making sporting equipment. They were getting into a realm where really a lot of people doubted what they were doing. They're like, you know, Nike can't compete with making baseball bats like Easton. Nike can't compete with TaylorMade and making golf clubs. Nike can't compete with Wilson and Spalding and making basketballs. And they did, and they did it really well, and they made quality stuff. And I believe that Harley-Davidson is trying to do the same thing and trying to get into different segments of motorcycles and trying to relate to different segments of the population. They're trying to not change their demographic, but they're trying to add more people to their demographic. And really, this was something that had to be done for them to stay relevant. It makes me excited that they didn't just make this token gesture with the Street Series, where they were just putting out these bikes that they were trying to appease and trying to bring in these people who ride naked bikes and sport bikes and trying to lure them over. That was kind of a weak, it was a swing and miss. It was, to make another sports analogy, there was a swing and miss with the Street Series. But what they're doing here with the Street Fighter, with the Pan American, with the Custom, and with these smaller displacement bikes. There was even this bike that looked like a big wheel mountain bike that's going to be electric driven. They're going outside of the box, and I know for a lot of traditional Harley riders it's really going to turn them off, but here's the point that was made to me when I talked to some of the managers in the Harley dealerships in the area, is that Harley-Davidson was going to die as a company if all they did was rely on what traditional Harley riders thought about their motorcycles, about their company. And I hear all the time from traditional Harley riders that they don't like what's happening, that they don't like the new models. The technology to them doesn't matter. And that's fine, they can think that, but if all Harley did was try and make those customers happy, we wouldn't have Harley-Davidson motorcycles in the near future. And that's something that I don't want to live with. I mean, Harley-Davidson celebrated their 115th anniversary this year, and it would be just a tragedy if they didn't adapt and they didn't decide that they were going to do the things that were necessary to keep the company alive. I'm all in. I can't wait to see these motorcycles. I can't wait to test ride these motorcycles. I can't wait to get one of these motorcycles in my garage. And, you know, this is something that I think will get my daughter's sitting over here, and I'm sure she's shaking her head at the fact that I think that she'll want to ride one of these motorcycles. But when she sees them and she maybe rides on the back of them with me, hopefully this is the kind of thing that will not only get her excited about motorcycles, but get excited about Harley-Davidson. So anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you today. I am really stoked about this. So if you were wondering how I felt about all of this, you know how I feel now about it. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up down there, which is the like button. And if you're so inclined, hit the subscribe button, which I'll pop up on the screen right now somewhere. Also throw up some links for you guys so you can go straight to one of my other videos. Guys, if you are riding, be safe. And if you're not riding, get riding. It's a great time. Guys, this is that one guy, and I'm out.